This is a story that just really gets me super upset. New York City Special Education Recovery Services Program to be scaled back this fall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember who shared this. This is from Chalkbeat New York.
I mean, all the kids who need the most help. Great.
Yeah. And it's not even just like a little bit. Watch this. In response to pandemic disruptions, New York City officials required every school to offer special education services last year outside regular hours to any family who wanted them. All right? So this is called the SEED program, Sensory Exploration, Education, and Discovery. This is a photo, obviously, of some of the kids. And the photo was taken by the author of the piece himself, Alex Zimmerman.
That won't be the case. Lego tire?
That was it? It might have been. It's a tire swing of some kind.
I mean, it's like a weird plastic, like the thing in front of them.
Oh, no, that's not a Lego tire.
Like a
it's
trash
just like
can.
I think it might be a trash can. or it could be a sensory toy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this coming school year, education officials, the education department is vowing to determine what extra instruction or therapies children may need on an individual basis, decisions that will be left to teams, the teams that set students individualized education programs known as IEPs. Well, it sounds like it's a good thing, right? Extra small group instruction or related services such as physical and occupational therapy may be provided after school on Saturdays during the school day or through a voucher for students the city determines need extra help, officials said. City's also expanding a new program for students with significant sensory issues, which has been popular with some parents. It'll launch at 70 new sites this fall, up from 10. Okay, that's great. The Education Department is setting aside $100 million for those extra services, down from roughly $200 million last year, according to city officials. Last year's recovery program was delayed for several months after the school year started. Schools struggled to attract staff to work the extra hours, and the vast majority of students did not participate. Though officials have yet to provide a final tally, the program earned mixed reviews from parents and educators. There were many unanswered questions about how this year's program will operate, including which students will be eligible, when parents will be informed of how they can access extra services, who will be responsible for providing them, and even when they'll begin. City officials didn't say if they'll provide yellow bus service for programs that'll be provided outside of the regular school day, a major roadblock to participation last school year.
Yep.
But, what are we doing here? Quote, to the outward-facing part of the world, it's very last minute, said Maggie Moroff, a special education policy expert at the nonprofit Advocates for Children. It's hard for me to imagine, if this hasn't been communicated to the schools yet, how it's going to play out successfully. And it hasn't.
Yep.
Students with disabilities have a legal right to compensatory services if their school does not provide all the specialized instruction or therapies included in their IEP. And a significant share of students with disabilities missed out on special education instruction or therapies that were difficult or impossible to provide during remote learning or as staff was stretched thin. But successfully advocating for compensatory services can be time-consuming and require legal help. If the district does not agree to provide those extra services, families can go through an administrative legal process to compel the city to provide them, though that process is complex and has faced extreme backlogs that often stretch many months. And meanwhile, these kids just sit there twisting. And the parents, too.
Yep.
Advocates for Children filed a lawsuit in an effort to force the city to create a more streamlined process, though that suit has not been successful so far. The city's promise to assess whether students with disabilities need these extra compensatory services could signal that they will be easier to get without going through cumbersome processes, though it's unclear how generous the city will be in recommending additional support. Quote, this administration is committed to course-correcting any pandemic-related learning loss for our most vulnerable students and expanding access to critical programs that address unique individual needs. Nicole Brownstein, an Education Department spokeswoman, wrote in an email. She added that extra services will be available on Saturdays at multiple sites in every borough. How are they going to do that, cutting the funding in half? Yeah. Even if the city instructs schools to provide more compensatory services, she noted that many students aren't scheduled to have an IEP meeting until the spring, raising questions about how quickly students will even have access to extra help. Dude, it's the summertime. You're talking 9 months from now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
If a student's last IEP happened last April, they're not regularly scheduled for an IEP. Did I say April? April, yes.
Until next April. Yeah.
Wow. Sure, a family could ask, but that's just the burden onto the family. Like, shouldn't that happen to begin the school year? Bronx mom, Damaris Rodriguez, said she's eager to learn if her 12-year-old son, Malik, who's on the autism spectrum, might be eligible for services when they might be provided. Malik missed some of his speech and occupational therapy sessions during the pandemic because they conflicted with remote instruction. She said extra services could help him self-regulate when he's feeling antsy, work on reading comprehension skills, and even learn how to share his feelings with peers and teachers. I think a lot of people can relate.
Yep.
Malik has faced a lot of different challenges emotionally in terms of expressing himself, whereas pre-pandemic he was able to talk or open up. But she's also wary of the department's special education recovery programs. She's wary. Last year, she pulled him out of the recovery program after a month because he wasn't receiving the therapy she believed he needed. Figuring out transportation without yellow bus service was a challenge. Rodriguez said she's frustrated that the city hasn't communicated more clearly to parents what extra services to expect this school year and when they'll be provided, as she's setting up extra activities like basketball that might conflict with Saturday special education programs. Again, they've got to make a decision. They've got to get their kids enrolled in stuff. So she says, well, I have to tell my son that he can't play basketball because it falls on Saturdays? When are you going to let parents know? It's...
Yep.
The most vulnerable kids are the ones who end up suffering the most. And
yep.
Yeah. John Kemper, some schools still trying to mask kids and keep six feet apart. Yeah. Yeah, Dead Planet Don't Care.
I mean, yeah, with everyone with, like, I mean, I feel you, human love solidarity, but also there's a reason why that thing's dying.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Like, it's all these little, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's all these little, like, little things that begin to add up, like not getting educational support and not, like, you're making those parents work 3 jobs just to afford a roof over the kid's head, and then on top of that, now that kid doesn't have the services that child needs, like, so I'm sorry that funding had to go to Ukraine. So
yeah, thanks for that, Joe.
That's always fun.
Thanks, Joe.
I wonder how much state funding went there too. Like, I get the like
funding that would have been like literally like states sending money over, like, also not just federal. Right. I don't know.
Right. Like, I'm sure that might have happened, like, in a few. California might have done it. Like, decided to send some of their state profit over.
Maybe.
Who knows?